A whole lot happening in that state concerning that election, and don't forget today is the inauguration of the panel of inquiry by the government to look into the election, the violence that met that particular election. Joining us to look at the matter this morning is Don Everard, Special Advisor to Governor Dixon on Public Affairs. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me too, and listeners out there.
But if you look at this big headline making the news, Silva dismisses Dixon's panel. He urged INEC to declare a winner, and even the military is also talking about those they apprehended. Tell us what happened on that election day before we talk about the panel.
Yeah, in the first place, I think it's important to let the world understand that elections for the Southern Ijaw local government did not take place at all. Now, we must look at it from the provisions of due process and laws. What does the rule in INEC say? The rule says that in the morning by 8 o'clock, materials have to be distributed, accreditation has to be done, voting has to commence, and all of these things will happen between the hours of 8 and 5. However, if voters are still on the line, then maybe they will be allowed to vote. But in Bayelsa State, materials got to the different centers at about 3, 4, 5, some even 6, not to talk of voting. When materials got, that is those materials were allowed to get there. Others were hijacked.
In Ijaw.
Now, in Southern Ijaw, that's what we're talking about now. Now, we're asking the question, a situation where materials got to the voting units by 4, has the process been abused? That's the first one. The answer is yes. And then we say we'll start accreditation. Accreditation runs from 4 to about 10 p.m. Is it part of the process? It's a negation of INEC regulations. And the last one, if voting commenced from 12 p.m. and sometimes 3 a.m., people were voting, nocturnal voting. Is that what the law provides? And we're saying all of this an abuse of the process alongside the total mayhem that was orchestrated by thugs of the APC, heavily armed and supervised by the Nigerian military. That is the story of Bayelsa State. So the story isn't about someone somewhere saying, I should be declared as a governor-elect or whatever. No, elections in Southern Ijaw did not take place because the entire process was abused. That's the position. And so it's not about asking how did the election go. Elections did not hold. It was on the ground of that INEC, acting under good conscience, came out smoky, having consulted with men on ground. They all reported. The ad hoc staff, those who were not hijacked, including those who were hijacked and forced to write results under duress, gave the reports to the Independent Electoral Commission that no election took place. People are also bringing results that were forced on us on gunpoint, and they were done in creeks, in people's homes. They mentioned even the names of these people. Now, the story is these ad hoc staffs were not brought from the heavens. They are persons within the environment of Bayelsa State. These are the stories that led to INEC making a wonderful statement for the protection of the integrity of Bayelsa State, the processes of INEC, and of course, the face of this country before the international community. So
you're totally in support of the decision of INEC then?
Totally. INEC did the correct thing because anything other than that would have undermined the essence of democratic processes and procedures.
But this is after you also blamed INEC for going ahead to conduct the elections in Southern Ijaw, after you said that the place wasn't quite safe. Was that correct? Beautiful.
Alluding to the fact that a few days to the elections proper, and indeed, weeks back, the governor of Bayelsa State and indeed the PDP raised early warning signals and indeed alarm that, look, there is a massive arms buildup in Southern Ijaw, in Brass local government, and that the military and security agencies should act fast to make necessary interventions. They choose to look the other way. The morning of the election, coming to the 6th, which is the Sunday, there were reports everywhere of sporadic shooting early in the morning. INEC and other critical stakeholders met and said, look, what do we do? And the governor also sent a message down there. We cannot make these elections work today. Look at the time. By the time they finished their deliberations, already there was so much trouble in Oporoma, the headquarters of Southern Ijaw. What was the problem? The people could not agree on anything because the militants, supervised by the military, were already there with superficial weapons.
Apart from the militant, sorry, Mark, but apart from the militant, we're looking at the timing now. You said, the governor said elections can't take place because of the timing that was already
late.
Not
just the timing, because of the problems on ground.
A moment, but the question is, it has always been so in Southern Ijaw, election has never held on time in that part of Bayelsa State.
Bear in mind, I think that is one of the reasons why we all pushed the look. This election, since it wasn't possible to distribute materials on Saturday, which other local governments were doing, let's get that of Southern Ijaw, even though it was a gross failure on the side of INEC, because they gave wonderful assurances that, look, materials will be distributed to all the racks and etc. They didn't do that. However, we all agree that the election should be shifted to Sunday. Now, even at that Sunday morning, materials were not distributed. And people became apprehensive, especially the other party, the APC, knowing full well that they don't have anything on ground to show that they want to run or win an election. All that they decided to do was to create mayor. That even made the governor to get to Southern, because it's worthy of mention. He got to Proma to tell the people, look, everybody should be calm. This is our state. We need to cast the ballot and respect the image of this state. The world is here to watch us. That was the reason. And above all, why did the governor go there? He's the chief security officer of the state. I have some folks talking on TV.
You've given the reason, because you've also heard it criticized, that the governor shouldn't have gone because the elections were still about to hold, and the officers, beg your pardon, the people contesting the elections shouldn't be up and about, perhaps campaigning, you know, on the morning of elections.
Yeah, you just said campaigning. The governor didn't go there to campaign. The governor remains the incumbent governor and indeed the chief security officer of the state. For the mere fact that the governor is running an election, he believes that a particular local government is on fire. We will say that because he's running an election, he shouldn't be there. He went there to speak the truth, not to campaign. He didn't say vote for PDP or APC, no.
So
he told
he's
the people,
going there, it didn't make any difference?
No, he did. Look, let me tell you, I'm a Bayelsa and I'm an Ijaw man. I know the heightened tension, the presence of the governor calmed down situations in Oporoma to a large extent, but then it was a script written, and people were determined to do all of that, not minding the presence of the governor. But it's not true, after all, that the governor acted in defiance of any provision that states that, look, when elections is holding, a candidate shouldn't go to a place. He is the incumbent governor, and above all, the first responsibility of a governor is for the protection of lives and property, and that's what he did.
Mr. Varada, if the laws say, as a candidate, he should not move around during elections, because he's the chief security advisor, does that give him a right to flout that directive?
Well, you have just said as the chief security officer.
You now answer the question.
No.
Does that give him a right to flout the directive?
I am saying, look, if you are a leader, if you're a father and your house is under fire, and somebody says, don't go out, and you know your kids are outside there, you must go out. And the most important thing is whether or not, what is the intent of law. What we see, when we discuss this legal
So what's
issues,
the role of the security operatives that were deployed?
Let me say, this is very important. We have said that the security operatives compromise, and let me just swing into that. We had a DIG, Deputy Inspector General of Police, on ground, Mr. Arugongo. We had a CP, Mr. Nasri. These are people that consistently, not only the governor, critical stakeholders in Bayelsa State, including observers, who call and tell them, these are the situations on ground. Heralding the fact there will be massive insecurity in Bayelsa State. They turned the other way. They were ready to do something sinister to the state. So it's not about whether the governor acted in defiance of legal provisions or administrative law. No. What the governor did was acting and hearing the clarion call of the people that, look, we are in trouble. Not just APC, not just PDP. The governor went there and spoke to the people and he left. Note, as at the time the governor went to Oporoma, no materials were distributed. INEC staffs were yet to even arrive at the venues, but people were APC who already brandishing white weapons, and we're saying this is not right. Soldiers were there. People are holding prohibited firearms, and the soldiers are looking the other way.
So the governor went into a dangerous situation, as it were.
It has always been volatile in the Niger Delta, and that's why we're saying, look, for you to be a governor in the Niger Delta, you need to be a man of level head.
Sorry to interrupt you, but what I'm saying is, looking at the picture that you're painting, you're saying that this place is already, you know, people were gathering arms the weeks before the elections, and you knew that things were going to be a little volatile, in fact, more than volatile in southern Ijaw. And yet, on the morning of elections, the governor went there to calm the people. Wasn't he scared that, you know, these people could shoot at him, God forbid?
A few years back, there was a serious crisis in Niger Delta, and the then Vice President, President Goodluck Jonathan, had to go to the militants there to talk to them so that peace would prevail. And that's been the character that we expect leaders in this country to do. When the call comes,
no, that's a different situation. They were not taking up arms against the president or the vice president as it was then, or as he was then. What I'm saying is, right now you're in the middle of elections, because one would wonder. I do recall that in the middle of the campaigns, you know, the governor had gone around to several places, and one of the places he went to was the hometown of his opponent, that's Mr. Timipre Silva. Okay. And one of the things he commended the people for was the fact that he has shown maturity. According to him, he accepted that they were brothers. So essentially, this is supposed to be an election between brothers. One will wonder why, you know, there's massive ammunition or arms gathering, you know, why it is that it will be so volatile, why would it be so violent, so much so that the governor had to go and calm things down on the morning of an election.
Yeah, it's always been a problem over the period because Shanes can attest to that the governor of Bayelsa State over the period was saying that, look, he's been going house to house, village to village to campaign.